they built this so that sound waves would kind of reflect off of it and make interesting noises. So if you clap from right in front of it, it's supposed to make a sound like a bird, like a quetzal. So I'm gonna go right in the center here and do it. Nice. I think that worked. Hey guys, what is going on? Location out here in Yucatan, Mexico, and today we are gonna learn about the Mayans. In 1519, when the Spanish first landed in what is current-day Mexico, they asked the local Mayan population where they were. The Mayans replied with Tectitan, meaning I don't understand you. And from that day forward, the Spanish, mispronouncing the name, knew that they were in Yucatan. And that is where I am right now. The Mayan civilization lasted 3,000 years, from 1500 BC to 1500 AD when the Spanish arrived. The empire spanned many Central American countries such as Nicaragua, El Salvador, Honduras, Belize, Guatemala, and southern Mexico. With the city of Mérida as my home base, I'm going to be setting out to check out two of the most important Mayan ruin sites here in the Yucatan. Let's get started. I've just entered the grounds of the Uxmal ruins. To do so, I had to buy a couple different tickets. This ticket was 95 pesos, and that allowed me to buy this ticket, which was 461 pesos. And then I got to buy this for 60 pesos, which allows me to film here. There are very few things in the world that get me as excited as Choc, the Mayan rain god, does. So today I'm hoping that Uxmal is chock full of Choc. Well, we're gonna head on in right now. Please subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, leave a comment. We are heading into Uxmal. So this big structure in front of us is La Pirámide del Adivino, or the Pyramid of the Magician. And that refers to a magical dwarf that, according to Mayan folklore, built this in a single night. But the sign over there says that it was built in 5 stages over 450 years, from the year 500 to 950. So you can believe whichever one you want. Online, it said that this is 40 meters tall. Again, that sign, which is closer to this than the internet, says it's 32 meters tall, but either way, it's pretty tall. And they built this so that sound waves would kind of reflect off of it and make interesting noises. So if you clap from right in front of it, it's supposed to make a sound like a bird, like a quetzal. So I'm gonna go right in the center here and do it. Nice. I think that worked. So the Pyramid of the Magician is maybe the most known thing, but there's a lot more to explore. This was a whole city, and at its peak, it had about 25,000 inhabitants here. Oh, nice. I think this side to the back looks even cooler. Wow. Can get a closer look at some of the carvings here. We can't walk up there, but wow, look at how steep that looks. Jeez, it'd be very easy to just fall down that whole thing. It's probably better I can't go up there. That looks extremely steep. Man. Let's take one more look at this. Oh man, what the heck is that, a tarantula? Oh jeez. Oh, whoa, whoa, there's tons of them. That's the hangout spot. Whoa. Look at them all. What's up, guys? This was a sports field from 800 to 1000 AD. I am guessing that this hoop here had something to do with it. Maybe throw a ball through there or something. I would guess that there was another hoop on this side. Obviously, I haven't been to Chichen Itza yet. That is for tomorrow. And as one of the new wonders of the world, I'm sure that place is going to be packed. It's kind of nice coming out here to Uxmal, and there's just spots where you get the ruins to yourself. You can just walk around like you were a Mayan civilian, just kind of going about your business. All right, time to head up here. Palacio del Gobernador, the palace of the governor, right here. The palace of the governor was built between 900 and 1000 AD, as you might expect. It is believed to be where the leaders and ruler of Uxmal lived. There are a ton of really cool sculptures and carvings up there. The masks are of Choc, the Mayan rain god, my favorite. There's also jaguars and lizards and such up there. Inside here, there's a cistern that can hold 35,000 liters of water, which, to put in perspective, would be about 175,000 soda cans full of water, which, to put into perspective, those cans stacked on top of each other would reach 2.37 times the height of Mount Everest. So quite a bit of water that you could fit out here in the Palacio del Gobernador. In front of the palace of the governor is this, what they call the cougar throne. They think that the ruler of Uxmal would sit on it. So this thing right here, which is right in front of the cougar throne, is a flagellation pole where they would flog people. This is the house of the turtles. How do we know? Well, if you look up there, a bunch of turtles. And why would they make a house of turtles here? It's actually because the Mayan word for turtle had to do with the sound that hitting a turtle shell made, kind of like a drum. So they equated that to kind of thunder and storms and rain. And since in Uxmal, everyone is obsessed with rain and Choc, the rain god, they had to make a house of turtles here. Because, you know, why wouldn't you? So the city of Uxmal really thrived between the 6th and 10th century AD. And then around the year 1100-ish, it's thought that there was a big drought. Their water supply kind of dried up. They couldn't farm. A lot of people left. Some people also think that, oh geez, look at this guy. Some people also think that there was a conflict between Uxmal and the people over at Chichen Itza. But either way, it was kind of abandoned. There were still people living here, but all the major construction stopped around the 10th century. Okay, back here by the Pyramid of the Magician, we've got the Quadrangle de las Monjas, the Quadrangle of the Nuns. But first, now look at this El Arco, which is Spanish for the arch. Something that's cool about this is if you look up, these don't actually connect. And that is important because the Mayan architecture takes into account that there could be earthquakes. And if there was an earthquake, these two sides could shake independently of one another. And if this were to break, they would kind of just fall into each other and it would preserve the arch. The interesting thing is there aren't any strong earthquakes out here in the Yucatan. So this is some architecture that kind of made its way here from Central America, like Guatemala. So it's built the same way, even though they don't have the danger of the earthquakes. And yeah, so here we got the Quadrangle of the Nuns. A pretty cool space. So from the name, you would probably guess that this is where the nuns stayed, and you'd be wrong. That was actually the name given to this area by the Spanish explorers when they found it, because they thought it looked like a European convent. But this was another administrative hub. There's 70 rooms, and there were, you know, some performances here, political gatherings, all kinds of fun stuff. So if we look up on the corner of these buildings here, that is the rain god Chalk. You can see it's got the open mouth and a half open eyes and the elephant trunk looking nose. So it's just kind of stacked up there. That's cool. Glad I finally got to see some Chalk architecture. I took a bus from Mérida. The bus was 110 pesos. 9 a.m. bus from the Tame station. Pretty easy to get down here. Pretty cheap also. And then there's a 3 o'clock and a 5 o'clock bus back. So, hope you guys learned something. We are not done. We are not even close to being done. I am gonna head to Chichen Itza right now in the video, but tomorrow in real time. So I will see you over there. Hello from the parking lot of Chichen Itza. I have already been inside filming all day. And before I show you that footage, I just need to make one thing clear because they're very strict about videotaping inside. So first of all, as you'll see on this sign, I was using 2 GoPros. I actually had to pay, as you'll see, for 2 permits, 1 for each camera, so that wasn't a problem. I did that. I also saw this sign, and it says to general public, influencers, TikTokers, and similar influencers for doing recordings with special clothing, microphones, trippies, I think tripods, and stabilizers and others must have federal permission. I did not have federal permission. I did not use a microphone, as you'll see inside. I take this guy off the entire time I'm inside so I don't violate any rules. I'm also not monetizing this video because I need a commercial permit if I was going to make money off of this. So this video is not monetized. I followed all of the rules. There's no rule about what an influencer is, how many subscribers, anything like that. So, without further ado, let's check out Chichen Itza. I am in, and I gotta work with what I have. There was a bit of a weird situation. I was walking up just now. I had everything set up, and a tour guide who wanted to be my tour guide, but I said no later. He told me that if they see I have a microphone, they're not going to let me in to the grounds. So I had to hide my microphone, and I'm not using it, as you can tell. I had to pay 2 video permission taxes, or whatever you call them, because I have 2 GoPros. So that totaled 120 pesos. And I did already have one person come up to me and check my video permission slips. So they are checking, and I don't want to risk having a microphone and then getting kicked out before we see anything. As you can see, this site has allowed vendors to come in, and they have. They are everywhere, which I get it. You know, some of these people are making handcrafted decorations and trinkets and things, but it does kind of take away a little bit from where we are, which is a site that's featured on Ancient Aliens. And it's also one of the 7 new wonders of the world. And that is the entire site, Chichen Itza, not just El Castillo. The bus to get here to Chichen Itza from Mérida was a bit more expensive, 268 pesos. But it was a nicer bus. Yesterday, when I took the bus home, it was packed. All the seats were already full. So this is kind of what ended up happening. I suppose you get what you pay for. That was like 106 pesos, so pretty cheap. But we were flying down the road at a few points, which was a little bit nerve-wracking. So these are really important. These are cenotes. You know what? I'll come back later. It's not a good time right now. Out here in Chichen Itza, they have the Madison Square Garden of ball courts. It's called, oh, I don't want to get pictures. It's called El Gran Juego de Pelota. And it's a bit better, it's a bit more intact. You can see the rings up there on both sides. I looked into how this game is played. They've got a couple players on each team, and there's a heavy rubber ball that's 2 or 3 kilos, and you use your knees, your elbows, and your hips to get the ball back as far as you can into enemy territory, into the other team's territory. And apparently these rings were kind of a later invention to the game. The game dates back to 1400 BC. There are 1,300 courts around Mexico and Central America. It's a very popular game, not just with the Mayans, with the Aztecs, and with other peoples around here. Let's take a look at some of these carvings. Got some pretty awesome reliefs here. This wasn't just a game, this was part of the religious and political structures. We've got players here, and there were sacrifices. It's a little bit debatable who the sacrifices were, if the sacrifices were brought in from enemy camps and sacrificed during the game, or if the losing team was sacrificed, or if some of the winners were sacrificed as like gifts to the gods. So I don't know, it sounds a bit risky to play this game or be anything other than a spectator. So this is a cenote. It's a large sinkhole in limestone, and it's found all over the Yucatan Peninsula. The rain and the groundwater kind of breaks apart the limestone, and it makes a big hole like this. Some of these you can go swimming in. Probably wouldn't recommend swimming in this one. But for the Mayans, this was a gateway to the underworld. And they would make a lot of offerings to our buddy, the rain god, Chak. and they would throw in, you know, all kinds of sacred objects and people, of course. There have been a lot of human remains that have been found in certain cenotes. This is the Sagrado Cenote. And one huge contributing factor to the formation of these cenotes on the Yucatan Peninsula was an asteroid 66 million years ago called Chicxulub. And you might not have heard of Chicxulub, but you might have kind of heard of it because it is the asteroid that killed all the dinosaurs. That's right. That was a direct impact right into the Yucatan Peninsula. It made a crater that's 150 kilometers in diameter. That's up around Mérida. I don't think the crater made it all the way here, but obviously 66 million years have passed, and you can't see that crater anymore from the surface of Earth. Not sure if this guy is just taking a nap or heat stroke. Well, okay, he's drumming his hands. Let's listen to music. This is El Castillo. It is amazing. El Castillo here is also called the Temple of Kukulkan, which is a feathered serpent deity. In the Aztecs, it's known as Quetzalcoatl, which, fun fact, the first short story I ever published was called Quetzalcoatl. And it aligns with the spring and autumn equinoxes, so when the sun sets, it looks like a serpent is crawling down the stairs here. This is the north side. So this pyramid looks enormous. Online it says it's only 30 meters tall, which would mean that yesterday's Pyramid of the Magician is taller, but I don't think so. If you look way up on the top there, I don't know if that's a oh, it is a real bird. Okay, I thought like maybe that's a quetzal, but I guess it's real. Seeing some animal life, but definitely not as much as yesterday. So there are 365 steps here. I'll let you go ahead and guess what that represents. You used to be able to climb up it. I'd heard from some people that came 10 years ago that they, you know, climbed up it and you could get some views from the top, but it's probably best for the structure itself that that is not an option anymore. But a little bit of a bummer for me. You can kind of imagine the human sacrifices that took place on this. It's kind of eerie to think about, with heads rolling on down the stairs there and all that. We've got some more ruins here. That is where I was confronted by security, where I will say they said I was doing nothing wrong. This is the Templo de los Guerreros, the Temple of the Warriors, because up top there are a lot of reliefs of warriors and war scenes. And that extends into the 1,000 pillars here. There's not actually 1,000 pillars, but there are quite a few. And you can go ahead and walk through them, which is what we're going to do. So these go in quite a few rows. All of these 1,000 columns here used to have a roof overhead, right? That would make sense. And then it was a big gathering area, big market. It would have public offerings and rituals. Got a serpent head right here, it looks like. We can head back into the woods. Took a short walk through the woods there, and we ended up at El Mercado, the marketplace here. Cannot go up there, which is the case with most of the places at Chichen Itza, but so the market goes from up there Comes around down here. This would all be roofed. And in the back there is a steam bath, which is tough to get to with this barbed wire. So we're not going to make it out there. But what they would do is they'd heat up stones and throw them in the water to make steam. And they would purify everybody. Pretty awesome stuff, despite the struggles of the day. I'm glad I came, and I'm glad I figured out a way to show this to you. Welcome back to the parking lot. I've been waiting for you here, as my bus still hasn't arrived. So, Chichen Itza was great. Uxmal was great. I think you have to come to Chichen Itza, even though I didn't like the crowds and the vendors. It's really an awesome site. And it's a world wonder, so you got to come and check it off your list. Highly recommend Uxmal as well if you're on this side of the peninsula. That is it for this episode. I had a blast. I've been out in the sun all day, so I'm looking forward to a nice long nap on the bus. Please give this video a like. Please subscribe. Leave me a comment. I will see you in the next episode.